The stars looked different from the bridge of the Catharan warship. Admiral Jakara had seen many star systems in his 40 years of service, but this one felt strange. The yellow sun ahead was called Sol by the ancient records. Around it orbited a dead world that once belonged to humans. At least that was what everyone believed. Jakara stood tall on his command platform. His scales were dark green, a sign of his age and experience. Behind him, younger officers moved between control stations. The bridge hummed with quiet activity. Screens showed data from 12 capital ships, 40 destroyers, and hundreds of smaller vessels. It was the largest fleet the Catharan Empire had assembled in 20 years. All of this power, just to claim an empty planet. Vexilon, the science officer, approached the admiral. He was younger, his scales still bright with youth. He carried a datapad filled with information about the dead civilization they were about to claim. Admiral, we are approaching the outer system. All sensors are active. So far we detect nothing unusual. Vexilon paused, looking at his data. The humans have been silent for 300 years. Every record confirms their extinction. Jakara nodded slowly. He had read those same records many times. The humans had destroyed themselves through war and environmental collapse. Their colony ships had been destroyed by other species who feared human expansion. It was a sad story, but a common one in the galaxy. Many civilizations reached too far, too fast. Prepare landing teams, Jakara ordered. We will establish our first base on the largest moon. Then we move to the planet itself. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. The sudden shift always made Jakara's stomach turn, but he showed no sign of discomfort. A commander never showed weakness. Then the sensors started screaming. Vexilon's eyes went wide as he stared at his screens. Admiral, I am detecting massive energy signatures. Multiple sources. The third planet is broadcasting electromagnetic signals. There are artificial satellites in orbit. Structures on the moon. This is impossible. Jakara felt his blood run cold. He moved quickly to look at the data himself. The screen showed something that should not exist. Earth was not dead. It was very much alive. Cities glowed on the dark side of the planet. Thousands of satellites filled the space around it. The moon showed industrial complexes that stretched for miles. The red planet, called Mars in the old records, had signs of terraforming in progress. Even the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter showed activity. Sound the alert, Jakara said quietly. Battle stations. All ships. Alarms rang through the flagship. Across the fleet, Catharan warriors rushed to their positions. Weapons powered up, shields activated. The simple mission had suddenly become very complicated. Then something even more shocking happened. Every ship in the Catharan fleet was suddenly painted by targeting systems. Red warnings flashed on every screen. Defense platforms that had been invisible moments ago suddenly appeared on sensors. They surrounded Earth in layers. The moon's far side bristled with weapons. Hidden throughout the asteroid belt were gun platforms that could destroy capital ships. Jakara had walked into a trap, except no one had set it for him specifically. The humans had simply been ready for anyone who came. A communication signal came through. Vexilon looked at the admiral with fear in his eyes. Sir, they are hailing us. The signal is strong and clear. It is in our language. Put it on screen, Jakara ordered. The view screen flickered and then showed something Jakara had only seen in old historical records. A human. The creature sat in a command chair on what was clearly a military bridge. He wore a dark uniform with symbols of rank on his shoulders. Behind him, other humans worked at control stations with calm efficiency. The human had short dark hair and steady brown eyes. His face showed no emotion, no fear, no anger. He looked at Jakara the way a teacher might look at a student who had made a simple mistake. When the human spoke, his words were in perfect Catharan dialect. This is Captain Jake Sullivan of the Earth Defense Forces. You have entered sovereign human territory without authorization. Power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted to a holding position. Or leave immediately. You have 3 minutes to comply. The transmission ended. Jakara stood frozen for a moment. Around him, his bridge crew waited for orders. No one spoke. No one moved. Finally, Vexilon found his voice. Admiral, I am analyzing their ship. It is massive. Larger than any of our vessels. The power readings suggest technology we have never seen before. Their targeting systems are more accurate than ours. Their shields use a frequency modulation that would be extremely difficult to penetrate. Shakara's mind raced. The humans were supposed to be extinct. The galaxy's records all agreed. 300 years ago, this species had faced total collapse. Every major civilization had verified it. Colony ships full of human refugees had been destroyed to prevent their expansion. The threat had been eliminated, except it had not been eliminated at all. What did they do? Shakara whispered. How did they survive? Vexlon pulled up more data. Looking at the infrastructure they have been building for centuries. This is not recent construction. These defenses are mature, tested, refined. Admiral, they went dark on purpose. They stopped broadcasting, stopped expanding, and used those 300 years to fortify their home system. A communications officer spoke up. Admiral, 2 minutes remaining. Shakara had to make a decision. His orders from the Empire were clear. Claim this system. Establish military outpost. Begin resource extraction. But those orders were based on false information. Earth was not empty. It was defended by a species that had spent 3 centuries preparing for exactly this moment. If he attacked and lost, the shame would destroy his family name. If he retreated without authorization, he would be court-martialed. But if he powered down weapons, he might have time to send a report back to the Empire and get new orders. 1 minute. Admiral, the communications officer said nervously. On Earth, in a command center buried deep beneath the surface, General Marcus Cole watched the Catharan fleet on massive screens. He was an old man now, with gray hair and deep lines on his face. He had lived through the dark years when humanity nearly died. He remembered the images of colony ships burning in space, destroyed by alien weapons. Next to him stood Dr. Lisa Chang, the chief scientist responsible for Earth's observation network. She was younger, in her 40s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her fingers moved across a control panel, tracking every ship in the Catharan fleet. They are deciding whether to fight or run, Lisa said quietly. Their weapons are still powered, but I see hesitation in their formation. They did not expect this, Cole nodded. No one expected this. That was the point. For 300 years we let the galaxy think we were dead. We watched them through our spy drones. We learned from their technologies. We built defenses they cannot imagine, and we waited for this day. On the EDF Resolute, Commander Amy Rodriguez stood at her station. She was a former fighter pilot, quick and aggressive in her thinking. Her hand hovered over the weapons control. If the Catharan attacked, she would be among the first to return fire. Captain Sullivan sat calmly in his command chair. He had trained his whole life for this moment. Every simulation, every exercise, every drill had prepared him to defend Earth against an enemy that might come from anywhere. Now that enemy was here and they were learning a hard truth. Humanity did not die easily. 30 seconds, Amy said, her voice steady. Sullivan watched his screens. The Catharan fleet was in perfect formation. Professional military discipline. These were experienced warriors, not pirates or raiders. That made them dangerous. But it also meant they could recognize when they faced superior forces. 15 seconds, Amy counted down. Admiral Jakara closed his eyes for a moment. He thought of his home world, of his family, of the warriors under his command. Then he made his choice. All ships, he said clearly. Power down weapons. Maintain defensive shields only. Prepare to comply with human instructions. His crew stared at him in shock. A Catharan fleet had never retreated from an inferior force. But Jakara knew the truth that his officers were still learning. The humans were not inferior. Not even close. On the Resolute, Amy watched her screens as the Catharan weapons powered down. Sir, they are complying. All hostile systems are going offline. Sullivan allowed himself a small smile. Good. Send them coordinates for a holding position. Dispatch escort ships, and get me a channel to General Cole. In the Earth Command Center, Cole watched the Catharan fleet begin to move into the designated holding area. Relief showed on his face, but only for a moment. Lisa touched his arm and pointed to her screen. Sir, I am detecting a tight beam transmission from the Catharan flagship. It is encrypted and directed toward deep space. They are reporting to their homeworld. Cole's expression hardened. Of course they are. They need to tell their empire that humanity is alive. That changes everything for them. Lisa pulled up star charts. The message will reach Catharan space in 4 days. After that, we should expect a response. Probably a larger fleet, maybe an attempt at diplomacy first. But eventually more ships will come. Let them come, Cole said quietly. We have been preparing for this for 3 centuries. Earth is not going to fall to aliens who thought we were. The message from Admiral Jakara reached Catharan space exactly 4 days later. It traveled through relay stations and secure channels until it arrived at the Empire's military command center. What it contained shocked every leader who read it. Humanity was alive. Not just alive, but powerful, armed, ready for war. War Master Krell read the report 3 times before he believed it. He was an old warrior, covered in scars from dozens of battles. His species had never lost a war. They were the strongest military power in their sector of the galaxy. But now, a supposedly extinct civilization had made one of their best admirals back down without firing a shot. Krell called for an emergency session of the Galactic Coalition Council. Within hours, representatives from every major species gathered in their neutral space station, the massive chamber filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 6. But they all had one thing in common today. They were all afraid. High Counselor Sarthan of the Tashari species called the meeting to order. The Tashari were peaceful, with pale blue skin and large eyes. They had always advocated for diplomatic solutions. Sarthan's voice was calm as he spoke. We have received confirmation of an extraordinary situation. The human species, believed extinct for 300 years, has been discovered alive and occupying their original home system. War Master Krell has requested this emergency session to discuss our response. Krell stood and addressed the chamber. His voice was harsh and loud. The humans are a threat. They have been lying to us for centuries, hiding in their system while they built weapons. They knew we thought they were dead, and they used that to their advantage. This is deception. This is a preparation for war. We must act before they grow stronger. Sarthan raised a hand. With respect, War Master, the humans have not attacked anyone. They defended their territory from an uninvited military fleet. That is not aggression. That is self-defense. Other species joined the debate. Some agreed with Krell. Others sided with Sarthan. The chamber filled with arguing voices. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans watched and listened through their spy network. Captain Alex Chen sat in his stealth ship, the EDF Shadow, docked at the edge of the Coalition space station. His ship was invisible to their sensors, a ghost in space. For years, Chen and others like him had operated throughout the galaxy, gathering intelligence. They knew everything the Coalition thought was secret. Chen listened to the Council debate and recorded everything. He sent regular updates back to Earth. General Cole and his team needed to know exactly how the galaxy would respond. On Earth, Cole sat in a meeting with President Victoria Hayes and her cabinet. Hayes was in her 50s with steel-gray hair and sharp intelligence. She had been elected to lead humanity through whatever came next. The decision she faced today would shape that future. General, what are our options? Hayes asked. Cole pulled up a holographic display. Militarily, we can defend the Sol system against any force they send. Our defenses are stronger than anything in the galaxy, but we cannot project power beyond our system. If they choose to blockade us, we will be trapped here forever. Ambassador Claire Mitchell spoke up. She was younger than the president, in her 30s, with blonde hair and determined blue eyes. We need to open diplomatic channels. Let me go to the Coalition. Let me speak for humanity. We have a chance to join the galactic community on our own terms. Hayes looked at Cole. The old general nodded slowly. It is risky, but Ambassador Mitchell is right. We cannot stay hidden forever. Eventually, we need allies. This might be our only chance to find them before the shooting starts. Hayes made her decision. Ambassador Mitchell, prepare a ship. You will go to the Coalition and speak for all of humanity. General Cole, prepare our defenses in case this goes badly. Captain Sullivan, I want your fleet ready to deploy at a moment's notice. 3 days later, Ambassador Mitchell's ship arrived at the Coalition space station. The vessel itself shocked the aliens who saw it. It was sleek and fast. Using a propulsion system nobody recognized, the ship traveled 30% faster than anything in the Coalition fleet. When Mitchell stepped off her ship, she wore a simple but elegant uniform. Earth blue and silver. Behind her walked 2 security officers in powered armor. The armor was not bulky, but sensors showed it was incredibly strong. Every alien who saw it felt a chill of fear. High Counselor Sar then greeted her personally. Ambassador Mitchell, welcome. Your arrival is historic. Humanity has been absent from galactic affairs for too long. Mitchell smiled warmly. Thank you, Counselor. We did not choose absence. It was forced upon us. But we are here now, and we hope to find understanding. The Coalition Council gathered to hear her speak. Mitchell stood before hundreds of alien representatives. She did not show fear or hesitation. She spoke clearly and firmly. 300 years ago, humanity reached for the stars with hope in our hearts. We sent colony ships to find new homes. Those ships were destroyed. Thousands of our people, including children, were killed by species who feared us. We were not given a chance to explain. We were not offered peace. We were simply attacked. The chamber was silent. Mitchell continued. We retreated to our home system. We went dark. And yes, we used those 300 years to ensure it would never happen again. We built defenses. We developed technologies. We prepared for the day when someone would come for Earth itself. That day arrived when the Ketheran fleet entered our space without permission. She paused and looked directly at War Master Krell. We did not attack them. We gave them a choice. Power down and talk or leave. They chose to power down. No one died. That was humanity showing restraint. Mitchell pulled out a small device and activated it. Holographic images appeared above the council floor. They showed detailed star maps, ship designs, and military installations from a dozen different species, classified information that should have been secret. We have been watching, Mitchell said quietly. For 300 years, our spy ships have moved through your space, invisible to your sensors. We know your strengths and your weaknesses. We know which species can be trusted and which ones prey on the weak. We have been 3 steps ahead of you the entire time. The revelation caused chaos. Species shouted in anger and fear. How long had the humans been spying? What secrets had they stolen? What plans had they made? Sarthan called for order. When the chamber quieted, he spoke to Mitchell. Ambassador, you admit to espionage against peaceful species. How can we trust you after this revelation? Mitchell's expression softened. Counselor, we are not your enemies. We gathered intelligence to survive, not to attack. If we wanted war, we could have struck first. We have the technology. We have the element of surprise. But we did not. Instead, I'm standing here offering cooperation. She turned to address the full council. Humanity wants to be part of the galactic community. We will share some of our technology. We will trade. We will participate in coalition affairs. But the Sol system is and will remain sovereign human territory. We will defend it with everything we have. Accept us as equals or leave us alone, but do not threaten us again. War Master Krell stood abruptly. This is unacceptable. The humans demand equality while admitting they spied on us. They possess weapons we cannot match. They represent a threat to galactic stability. I propose an ultimatum. The humans must disarm their defense grid. They must allow coalition inspectors full access to their technology. They must submit to our authority, or we will consider their refusal an act of war. Several militaristic species voiced their agreement. The chamber filled with angry voices demanding humanity submit. Sarthan tried to restore calm, but the damage was done. The coalition called for a vote. Should they recognize human sovereignty or support Krell's ultimatum? The debate lasted hours. Finally, they voted. The result was close, but humanity lost. More species voted to support the ultimatum than to recognize Earth's independence. Mitchell stood once more. Her voice was cold now, all warmth gone. We came in peace. We offered cooperation. You chose threats instead. Earth recognizes no authority but its own. We will defend ourselves, and when you come for us with your fleets and your ultimatums, you will learn the same lesson the Ketheran learned. We survived when you thought we were dead. We will survive whatever you send against us. She walked out of the chamber, her security officers following. Her ship departed within the hour. In the coalition chamber, War Master Krell addressed the assembled species. The humans have chosen defiance. We must show them the price of that choice. I am calling for the assembly of a joint military force. Every species that values peace and order should contribute ships. Together we will go to Earth and enforce the will of the coalition. 12 species agreed to send fleets. Thousands of ships would gather for the invasion. It would be the largest military operation in coalition history. Captain Alex Chen watched from his hidden ship. He sent an urgent message to Earth. The invasion was coming. On the EDF Resolute, Captain Jake Sullivan received the intelligence. He called his senior officers together. Commander Amy Rodriguez, Lieutenant Ryan Parker, and others gathered in the briefing room. "They are coming in 6 months," Sullivan said, pulling up holographics. 6 months had passed. The invasion fleet was complete. 3,000 warships from 12 different species gathered at the staging point. The fleet stretched across space for thousands of miles, capital ships the size of cities, destroyers bristling with weapons, support vessels carrying troops and supplies. It was the largest military force ever assembled in this region of the galaxy. War Master Krell commanded from his flagship, the Dominion's Claw. The massive vessel dwarfed everything around it. Its weapons could destroy a moon. Its shields could withstand sustained bombardment. Krell sat in his command throne, satisfied with the power he controlled. Admiral Jakara commanded the forward assault group. He had been given a chance to redeem himself after his initial failure at Earth. He did not want to attack the humans, but orders were orders. He would do his duty. "All ships report ready," an officer announced. "Jump coordinates locked on the Sol system." Krell stood. "Begin the jump. Today we remind the galaxy who holds power. Today we teach the humans the price of defiance." The fleet jumped together. Space twisted around them as they traveled faster than light. In moments, they crossed distances that would take conventional ships decades. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Chang sat at her console in the observation center. Sensors throughout the galaxy fed her information. The moment the invasion fleet jumped, she knew. Alarms began to sound. "General Cole, they are coming. 3,247 vessels. Arrival in 30 seconds. Cole activated the defense grid. Across the Sol system, weapons came online. The moment humanity had prepared for over 3 centuries had finally arrived. The invasion fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Their arrival created gravitational ripples that Earth sensors detected immediately. On the Dominion's Claw, Krell smiled at the sight of the yellow sun ahead. Sensors report. "What defenses do you detect?" Krell asked. The sensor officer studied his screens. "The same platforms we detected 6 months ago, War Master. No significant changes. Their fleet is positioned near Earth orbit. 200 ships against our 3,000. Krell laughed. "They are fools. They should have run when they had the chance." "All ships advance. Weapons free. Show them the fury of the Coalition." The massive fleet began moving forward. Then the first surprise came. The fleet was passing through the Kuiper Belt far beyond Pluto. Empty space according to their sensors. But space was not empty. Hidden stealth platforms suddenly activated. Missiles launched from seemingly nowhere. Particle beams lanced out from rocks and ice. Ships exploded. The first wave of missiles hit before anyone could react. 20 vessels gone in seconds. The platforms used hit-and-run tactics, firing and then going dark again. The Coalition forces returned fire, but they were shooting at ghosts. Admiral Jakara watched his screens in dismay. "War Master, the humans have hidden weapons throughout the outer system. Our sensors cannot track them. We are losing ships." Krell's expression darkened. "Push forward. We have the numbers. Their tricks will not save them." But the losses continued. By the time the fleet cleared the Kuiper Belt, 40 ships had been destroyed. The humans had drawn first blood without ever being seen. The invasion force entered the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Here, the second layer of Earth's defense revealed itself. What looked like asteroids were actually weapons platforms. Some were railguns carved into rocks the size of mountains. Others were missile batteries hidden in hollowed-out asteroids. All of them opened fire at once. The belt became a killing field. Coalition ships found themselves in a crossfire. Railgun projectiles traveled at incredible speeds, punching through shields like paper. Missiles came from multiple directions. Overwhelming point defense systems. The platforms shifted positions constantly, making them nearly impossible to target. Lieutenant Ryan Parker led his fighter squadron from the EDF Resolute. His small craft darted through the battle, targeting enemy ships. The fighters were tiny compared to the capital ships, but they were fast and deadly. Parker's wingman, Lieutenant Sam Brooks, flew with machine precision, hitting vulnerable points on enemy vessels. "Fox 3, missiles away," Parker called out. His weapons locked onto a destroyer's engine cluster. The missiles hit and the destroyer lost power, drifting helplessly. The battle in the asteroid belt lasted 3 days. Coalition ships pushed forward slowly, paying in blood for every mile. When they finally cleared the belt, they had lost over 500 vessels. Nearly 1/6 of their fleet was gone, and they had not even reached Earth yet. War Master Krell was furious but undeterred. We still have numbers on our side. Continue the advance. All ships maintain formation. Admiral Jakara knew they were being bled dry, but he followed orders. The fleet approached Mars. Captain Danny Foster commanded the Mars Defense Wing. His atmospheric fighters launched from hidden bases on the red planet's surface. The fighters engaged the invasion fleet in hit-and-run attacks, using the planet's gravity well to their advantage. But Mars had a bigger surprise. The planet's surface bristled with mass driver weapons. These railguns used Mars itself as an anchor, allowing them to fire projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. The kinetic energy was enormous. Each shot hit like a nuclear explosion. Coalition ships began exploding as the mass drivers fired. The weapons were underground, impossible to target with orbital bombardment. Every shot came from a different location as the planet rotated. There was no way to stop them. War Master, we have lost 800 ships, Jakara reported. We cannot continue taking these losses. We must reassess our strategy. Krell slammed his fist on his command throne. No retreat. We push to Earth. Victory is still within reach. But doubt had entered the hearts of many coalition commanders. They were fighting an enemy who had prepared every inch of space as a weapon. This was not a battle. It was a carefully designed slaughter. The battered fleet finally approached Earth orbit. Here they faced Major Kate Williams and the Moon's defense batteries. The far side of Earth's natural satellite was covered in weapons that had been built and refined over 3 centuries. Williams sat in her command bunker deep beneath the lunar surface. Her screen showed targeting data on every ship in the invasion fleet. She spoke calmly into her communication system. All batteries, you have firing solutions. On my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. The Moon erupted in fire. Thousands of weapons fired simultaneously. Missiles streaked across space. Particle beams carved through shields. Kinetic artillery sent projectiles at hypersonic speeds. The barrage was coordinated perfectly, each weapon firing at precise intervals to create overlapping fields of destruction. Coalition ships died by the dozens. Some tried to retreat, only to find their escape routes blocked by more weapons fire. Others tried to push forward and were cut down. The Moon's position created a perfect defensive position, allowing Williams to engage the entire fleet. Then Dr. Nina Patterson's secret weapon activated. Gravity well generators hidden throughout the orbital space began powering up. Coalition vessels suddenly found themselves trapped in artificial gravity fields. Their engines strained but could not break free. Immobilized ships became easy targets. This is impossible, Jakara whispered, watching his fleet being torn apart. War Master, we must retreat. We have lost over 2,000 ships. More than half our force is gone. Krell refused to listen. All ships ram the planet if you must. Destroy their cities. If we cannot take Earth, we will make sure no one can have it. But the coalition captains had seen enough. Their crews were dying. Their ships were being destroyed. And Earth's main fleet had not even engaged yet. One by one, ships began powering down weapons. They refused Krell's suicide order. That was when Captain Jake Sullivan made his move. The human fleet had been waiting behind the Moon, hidden from sensors. 200 warships suddenly appeared. They were smaller than the coalition capital ships, but they were fast and deadly. Each vessel was a masterwork of military engineering, incorporating technologies the humans had learned from watching the galaxy for 3 centuries. Sullivan sat in his command chair on the EDF Resolute. Commander Amy Rodriguez stood at his side, coordinating the fleet's movements. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. All ships engage, Sullivan ordered calmly. The human fleet tore into the coalition forces. Their weapons were precise and devastating. Their shields absorbed incoming fire with ease. Their movements were coordinated perfectly, each ship supporting the others. It was not a battle. It was an execution. Coalition ships that tried to fight were destroyed. Those that tried to flee found their paths blocked. The humans had perfect intelligence on every vessel, knew their capabilities and weaknesses. Every shot counted. Every maneuver was calculated. Admiral Jakara's flagship was crippled by a precise strike to its reactor. Power failed throughout the ship. He sat in darkness listening to damage reports. His fleet was gone. Everything was gone. He opened a channel to War Master Krell. War Master, we have lost. More than 2,000 ships destroyed. Our remaining forces are requesting terms of surrender. We cannot win this fight. Krell's rage filled the channel. Never. We do not surrender to inferior species. All ships will fight to the death. News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Every species heard the same shocking story. The extinct humans had destroyed a coalition fleet of thousands with minimal losses. The battle was not even close. The Galactic Coalition was in chaos. The Catharan Empire faced riots as their people questioned leaders who had led them to such a devastating defeat. Other militaristic species that joined the invasion now dealt with angry populations demanding answers. But what shocked the galaxy even more than the defeat was how the humans won. They did not just have superior weapons. They had superior everything. Their sensors were better. Their shields were stronger. Their tactics were flawless. And they had spent 300 years building defenses that made their home system nearly invincible. High Counselor Sarthen of the Tishari called for an emergency coalition session. This time the chamber was different. Representatives who had voted for the invasion now sat quietly, avoiding eye contact with those who had warned against it. The coalition must acknowledge a new reality, Sarthen said, his voice echoing through the chamber. Humanity is not a threat to be eliminated. They are a power to be respected. I propose we formally recognize human sovereignty and invite them to join us as full members. This time the vote was unanimous. Even the Catharan representative, a young officer who had replaced the disgraced War Master Krell, voted yes. Nobody wanted to fight the humans again. Ambassador Claire Mitchell returned to the coalition station. The reception she received was completely different from her first visit. Species that had threatened her before now greeted her with respect. Some even bowed. She was escorted to the council chamber with honor guards from multiple species. Sarthen personally welcomed her. Ambassador Mitchell, on behalf of the Galactic Coalition, I apologize for our previous hostility. We were wrong. We let fear guide us instead of wisdom. The Coalition formally recognizes Earth's sovereignty and requests that humanity join us as full members. Mitchell smiled graciously. High Counselor, humanity appreciates the gesture. We accept Coalition membership, but with conditions. We will not submit to any authority over our internal affairs. We will share some technologies, but not all. And we will defend any peaceful species threatened by aggression, but we will not participate in wars of conquest. The terms were accepted immediately. Nobody dared argue with the species that had just destroyed a fleet of thousands. On Earth, President Victoria Hayes faced a different challenge. Humanity had proven they could defend themselves. Now they needed to decide what came next. Stay isolated and safe or expand into the galaxy and risk everything they had built. Hayes called for a global referendum. The question was simple. Should humanity begin colonizing other star systems? The debate that followed was intense. Some argued that expansion was necessary for long-term survival. Others said the Sol system was fortress enough. General Marcus Cole spoke at the Global Assembly. For 300 years we hid. We built defenses and waited for the day the galaxy came for us. That day arrived and we won. But we cannot hide forever. Stagnation is death. We need to grow, to explore, to claim our place among the stars. Yes, it is risky. But staying locked in our system forever is a different kind of death. The vote was close, but expansion won. Humanity would reach for the stars again. Captain Jake Sullivan was promoted to admiral and given command of humanity's first colonization mission in 3 centuries. This time, the colony ships would not be vulnerable. Each transport was armed and armored. Military escorts accompanied every vessel, and the destination was carefully chosen. The target system was called New Eden, 40 light-years from Earth. It had 3 habitable planets and abundant resources. More importantly, it was far from major alien civilizations. Humanity would have room to grow. Commander Amy Rodriguez served as Sullivan's second-in-command. Lieutenant Ryan Parker led the fighter escort. Major Kate Williams oversaw construction of orbital defenses. They would not make the mistakes of the past. Every colony would be defended from day one. The journey took 3 months using humanity's advanced faster-than-light drives. When they arrived at New Eden, they made an unexpected discovery. The system was not empty. A small settlement of Tishari refugees lived on one of the outer moons. They had been hiding there for decades, escaping persecution in their home territory. When human ships appeared, the Tashari feared they were being invaded. Dr. Greg Sanders, Earth's xenobiologist and cultural liaison, made first contact. He approached the Tashari settlement carefully, broadcasting peaceful intentions. The Tashari leader, an elderly female named Kara, agreed to meet with him. "We mean you no harm," Sanders explained through a translator. "We came to colonize this system, but we did not know anyone lived here. We can share the system peacefully. There is room for both our peoples." Kara was cautious but hopeful. "You are the humans who defeated the coalition fleet. We heard the stories. Your people are warriors. Why would you share with us?" Sanders smiled. "Because we know what it is like to be hunted. 300 years ago, aliens destroyed our colony ships. We nearly went extinct. We will not do to others what was done to us. If you agree, we can protect you while we build our colonies." The Tashari helped speak for us in the coalition. "We remember that." An agreement was reached. The Tashari would share their knowledge of the local space in exchange for human protection and technology. New Eden became a joint settlement, with Tashari and humans working side by side. It was humanity's first peaceful cooperation with an alien species in 3 centuries. News of the joint colony spread. Other species took notice. The humans were not conquerors. They were builders willing to cooperate with peaceful neighbors. But not everyone welcomed humanity's emergence. The Vrex Collective, a powerful hive mind species, viewed humans as a threat to the galactic order. The Vrex had maintained power for centuries through technological superiority. Now humans challenged that superiority. The Vrex began a campaign of subtle sabotage. They hacked human communication systems, though their efforts were mostly unsuccessful. They stole research data from human databases. And they spread propaganda claiming humans were dangerous warmongers who would eventually turn on peaceful species. Captain Alex Chen's spy network detected Vrex operatives trying to infiltrate human colonies. Chen was an expert at invisible warfare. His stealth ships had been spying on the galaxy for decades. Now he turned that expertise against the Vrex. Chen captured several Vrex agents and discovered evidence of a larger plot. The Vrex were building a coalition of species worried about human expansion. They called it a defensive alliance, but the goal was clear: contain humanity through economic and political pressure. The Vrex-led coalition implemented trade restrictions against human colonies. They denied humanity access to certain rare resources essential for advanced manufacturing. They pressured neutral species to choose sides. The economic warfare was sophisticated. President Hayes responded with Earth's own economic power. Human technology was now the most sought-after commodity in the galaxy. Shield generators, stealth systems, and weapons were all available for trade. Species willing to defy the Vrex found themselves with access to technology that could change the balance of power in their regions. The galaxy began splitting into factions. Pro-human species formed trade partnerships with Earth. Anti-human species joined the Vrex coalition. The Galactic Coalition tried to maintain neutrality, but it was becoming impossible. Tensions came to a head at Kepler Station, a neutral trade hub. A human merchant vessel was attacked by what appeared to be pirates. But Lieutenant Sam Brooks, now commanding his own reconnaissance vessel, investigated and found evidence. The attackers were Vrex agents using stolen ships. Brooks transmitted the evidence to Earth and the Coalition. The proof was clear. The Vrex had attacked human civilians in neutral space. It was an act of war. The Vrex denied everything. They claimed the humans fabricated the evidence. The Coalition demanded an investigation. But before it could begin, a Vrex battle group surrounded Kepler Station and demanded all human personnel leave immediately. Commander Kyle Morrison, now captain of his own ship, was leading a human patrol near the station. He received distress calls from civilians trapped aboard. His orders were clear: do not escalate the situation. But Morrison could not abandon humans to potential Vrex aggression. He made a choice. Morrison positioned his small fleet between the station and the Vrex ships. He opened a channel to the Vrex commander. "This is Commander Kyle Morrison of the Earth Defense Forces. You will not harm civilians on this station. You will not threaten human personnel. Stand down and allow the Coalition investigation to proceed or face the consequences." The Vrex commander was shocked. The human fleet was outnumbered 5-1. "You dare threaten us? You are hopelessly outnumbered." Morrison's response was calm. You outnumbered the last fleet that fought us too. They learned that numbers do not matter against superior technology and training. Ask the Catharan how that worked out for them. Last warning. Stand down. The standoff lasted 3 days. Neither side fired, but both were ready for battle. News of the confrontation spread across the galaxy. Every species. The investigation into the Kepler station incident took 2 months. The evidence was overwhelming. Vrex agents had attacked human civilians using stolen ships. The Galactic Coalition had no choice but to condemn the Vrex officially, but condemnation was not enough. The Vrex refused to apologize. They claimed the humans were still a threat and that extreme measures were justified. The Hive Mind Collective saw compromise as weakness. High Counselor Sarthan called for a summit on the Tishari homeworld. Every major species sent representatives. The goal was simple but profound. Establish a new framework for galactic relations that could accommodate humanity without triggering constant conflict. Ambassador Claire Mitchell led humanity's delegation. Captain Jake Sullivan attended as military advisor. Dr. Greg Sanders provided cultural expertise. They arrived on the beautiful Tishari homeworld to find a galaxy deeply divided. The summit chamber was enormous, built to accommodate hundreds of different species. Mitchell stood before them all and made her proposal. Earth proposes a new system of mutual defense pacts. Any species that agrees to non-aggression with humanity will receive access to our defensive technologies. We will establish joint research programs to benefit all civilizations, and we will lead a new coalition defense force designed to protect peaceful species from aggressors. This is not about human dominance. This is about building a galaxy where no one needs to fear extinction. The proposal was radical. It would reshape the entire power structure of the galaxy. Some species embraced it immediately, particularly those who had been victims of stronger neighbors. The Tishari supported it fully. Other peaceful civilizations saw it as their best chance for long-term security, but the Vrex rejected it. Their representative spoke with the cold logic of the hive mind. This is a human power grab disguised as cooperation. They want to control galactic defense to ensure their dominance. We will not submit to this scheme. The Vrex then made their own announcement. They had developed technology specifically designed to counter human stealth systems. Using their hive mind's massive processing power, they created a sensor network that could detect even advanced stealth ships. The Vrex offered this technology freely to any species that joined them in opposing humanity. Several militaristic civilizations accepted. They formed the Vrex Alliance, a rival to both the Coalition and humanity's proposed defense pact. The galaxy was now split 3 ways. The original Coalition tried to maintain neutrality. The Vrex Alliance opposed human expansion, and species forming partnerships with Earth created what became known as the Human Alliance. Dr. Lisa Chang and Dr. Nina Patterson immediately began analyzing the Vrex sensor technology. They obtained samples through Captain Alex Chen's spy network. What they discovered was both troubling and encouraging. The Vrex sensors did work, but they had serious limitations. They required enormous computational power and could only cover small areas of space. More importantly, they were based on older human stealth systems that the Vrex had stolen years ago through espionage. We already have next-generation stealth in development, Lisa reported to President Hayes. We can adapt our systems faster than the Vrex can update their sensors. But more importantly, this proves we cannot win a technology race against an entire galaxy. We need something better, Hayes understood. Military superiority was not enough. Earth needed allies who genuinely trusted them. She authorized a bold program. Humanity would share more technology than originally planned, but only with species that committed to true partnership. The Tishari were the first to sign a full alliance treaty with Earth. High Counselor Sarthan traveled to Earth personally for the ceremony. It was the first time an alien leader had visited humanity's homeworld in over 3 centuries. Sar then stood in the United Earth Assembly and addressed billions watching across the planet. The Tishari people are honored to stand beside humanity. You showed us that strength can be paired with mercy. You defended yourselves without becoming conquerors. Together we will build a better galaxy. Other species followed. Within months, 20 civilizations had joined the Human Alliance. Each received human technology appropriate to their needs. Each contributed their own knowledge and resources. The alliance grew stronger every day, Admiral Jake Sullivan became the first human to command a multi-species fleet. His flagship, renamed the EDF Unity, carried crew members from a dozen different worlds. Commander Amy Rodriguez led training programs teaching Alliance members human tactics. The diversity was challenging, but it made the Alliance stronger. The Vrex Alliance, meanwhile, struggled with internal problems. The hive mind leadership style conflicted with species that valued individual freedom. Trust was lacking between members. Their military advantage in numbers was offset by poor coordination. The real test of the human alliance came when a peaceful species called the Meridian faced extinction. A Vrex Alliance member was expanding their territory and pushing the Meridian out of their home system. The Meridian had no military and no way to defend themselves. They called for help. President Hayes faced a critical decision: respond with military force and risk all-out war with the Vrex Alliance, or stand by and prove the human alliance was meaningless. General Marcus Cole advised military action. Ambassador Mitchell warned of the consequences. Hayes made her choice. We will act, but not alone. This is what the alliance was built for. Assemble a joint force. Show the galaxy that this is not human imperialism. This is collective defense. Admiral Sullivan led the response force to Meridian space. His fleet included ships from Earth, the Tashari, and 5 other Alliance members. Lieutenant Ryan Parker's fighter squadron flew alongside Tashari interceptors. Major Kate Williams' weapons officers worked with alien gunnery crews. It was a true coalition. When they arrived, Sullivan did not attack immediately. He opened a channel to the aggressor species. This is Admiral Jake Sullivan of the Human Alliance Defense Force. You are attempting to conquer a peaceful civilization. Withdraw from Meridian space immediately, or face the combined response of species who refuse to tolerate aggression. The aggressor had expected human intervention. They had not expected a united multi-species force. Seeing genuine cooperation between humans and aliens, they realized this was not a bluff. They withdrew without firing a shot. The Meridian were saved. Not a single casualty on either side. The message spread across the galaxy. The human alliance was real, and it would protect its members. The incident had profound effects. Species in the Vrex Alliance began questioning their membership. If the human alliance could project power without conquest, what were they really defending against? One by one, Vrex Alliance members defected or negotiated peace treaties with the human alliance. The Vrex collective faced an internal crisis. Their unified purpose was fracturing. Different nodes within the hive mind argued about strategy. Some wanted compromise with humanity. Others demanded escalation. The debate within their collective consciousness was tearing them apart. Captain Alex Chen's spy network made contact with a faction of Vrex who believed coexistence was possible. These rebels within the collective staged what could only be described as a mental coup, seizing control of key nodes and opening diplomatic channels with Earth. Ambassador Mitchell negotiated directly with the new Vrex leadership. The talks were difficult. The Vrex found it hard to admit they had been wrong, but eventually they reached an agreement. Borders were established. Technology exchange protocols were created. Joint research initiatives were proposed. The Vrex Alliance dissolved. Former members either joined the Human Alliance or returned to the original Galactic Coalition. The three-way split in the galaxy ended. A new order emerged, with humanity at its center but not dominating it. 5 years after the Catharan invasion, the galaxy was completely transformed. Humanity had established 40 colonies, each protected by Alliance members and contributing to collective defense. Human technology had spread throughout peaceful civilizations, raising everyone's capabilities. Earth's orbit now hosted embassies from 70 species. The Moon's former weapon platforms included training facilities where alien militaries learned defensive strategies. Mars had become an industrial hub supplying the entire Human Alliance with advanced materials. Admiral Sullivan, promoted to Fleet Admiral, oversaw expansion into unexplored regions. Commander Amy Rodriguez ran the Alliance Military Academy on Earth, training officers from 100 worlds. Lieutenant Ryan Parker led elite mixed-species fighter wings that patrolled Alliance space. Dr. Lisa Chang and Dr. Nina Patterson collaborated with scientists from dozens of civilizations. Together they made breakthroughs that no single species could have achieved alone. Technology advanced faster than ever before. General Marcus Cole, now retired, gave lectures across Earth about the 300 years of isolation. His message resonated with young people eager to explore the galaxy. We survived by being strong, but we thrived by being willing to trust others who share our values. Strength without friendship is just isolation. We learned that the hard way. President Victoria Hayes addressed the expanded Galactic Coalition, which now included the Human Alliance as a major power. She stood among leaders from across the galaxy as an equal. 300 years ago, the galaxy tried to erase humanity. We